Allana Da Graca here, president of Turning on the Lights Global Institute. I want to say thank you so much for being a part of my tribe and community. And here we are already, April 2022. And I want to talk to you about our series this month. And it's all about showing up. It's about showing up in your communication. It's about showing up with your attitude. And it is about showing up, making sure you're thinking about the quest that you're on, the bigger why, making sure that you can say, what is my quest? So I want to welcome you to this virtual experience. And whether you tune in on a podcast or on a newsletter or on a vlog or on any of my social media platforms, I want to say welcome. I also want to thank all of you who are a part of my robust and growing community, because you simply said you are ready to hashtag UPML, meaning I'm ready to upgrade my life. And so many of you I have had the pleasure of talking to since the new year began. I just want to start off by saying thank you. And if you're new, make sure you like, comment, and share with those who you think would find this information very valuable. Now, look, our goal at Turning on the Lights Global Institute is to help you to reach personal and professional goals. And I want you to know that I want you to understand that there are so many obstacles that sometimes we have to get over, and so many things that we're constantly dealing with as entrepreneurs and leaders. But one of the number one things we can do is to simply, quote unquote, persist. Persistence is the ability for us to stay committed to a given goal, no matter and despite any of those obstacles that seem to throw us off. Now, what would be some of the things that throw us off? And you guys have heard me talk about this, but a big part of it is the self-talk that we have. Not only that, but I don't think that a lot of people recognize how much intrinsic motivation plays on how we receive or how we actually actualize our results. So for me, one of the most frustrating things that I have noticed is, as I talk to burgeoning entrepreneurs or people trying to pivot into consultation work or pivot and scale their business, the number one thing that is the most frustrating to me is how people actually show up, and also how they think that sometimes people are just going to flock to their website and click yes. But I want you to recognize that in 2022, a static website alone, or even a responsive one where you might even have opt-ins and things like that, having that alone is not going to yield the results that you're looking for. You're going to have to really have a key strategy. So I don't know if you remember, but in the early days of Instagram, it was all about posting and getting as many likes as you could. And then people would say, oh my goodness, look at how many likes you have, right? And then those algorithms change, and it went from someone who would normally get 100 likes to more like 12 or 15. Why did that happen? Well, you know what? I think people also recognize that there's a fine line between authenticity and projection of what is or what could be. Now, all of us want to stand in our best selves. All of us want to project, that we are successful. But I think that one of the things that more people are longing for is to connect with individuals where they feel like they are seen and heard and understood. And also that when they are looking at a video or looking at you, that they can really trust that where this information is coming from is valuable, number one, and number two, from a trustworthy source. That's why I have to say to you, if you're going to really be successful in 2022, let's think about some of the foundations of entrepreneurship. How do you show up? So one of the number one things is just like when people are asking you about what you do, how do you explain that? When people are asking you to share a flyer, what does that flyer actually look like? Does it look like you took a crayon and created that flyer? Does it look like a professional created that flyer, right? And sometimes all people have to hang on when they first meet you is what you actually put out. So I highly recommend that you really take stock and look at how you are showing up. When you describe yourself, how do you sound? I mean, videotape yourself and listen to how you actually sound when you talk about your product or your service. Are you excited? Do you look like you could be elsewhere? Do you look like you'd rather have someone else speak on your behalf? Well, if that's the case, we have to get to the root of that issue, which is that we need you to develop more confidence. Confidence as the host of your service or product, and also clarity around what you actually present. Now, look, we have to think about this, because if you have not made sales, or if you're not increasing revenue, or at least creating a strategy to shift, then we're going to have stagnation this year. So number one, I really want you to get excited about showing up to win. Now, it's almost like creating a meal. Everyone around you can smell it. They show up and they go, oh my goodness, I smell something. It smells like something is brewing. And then they show up to your kitchen or sit down at your table, and then they sit and they say, where is this awesome thing you've been preparing? And you say, oh, I'm sorry. I know you've been smelling something, but I don't really have anything for you to consume. No. So one of the things we're going to have to do is look at the foundations of how we show up, because it's not only what you say that you communicate, it's also the messaging that you have when you're posting things. It's also, it's also how you project yourself when people are looking at your nonverbal cues as you're explaining, are your eyebrows raised? Are you projecting? Do you really feel excited about what you're doing? Because if not, guess what? The person listening to you, they are probably going to pick up that you're not excited. They're going to probably pick up that, man, you're working really hard just to get out what you do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I have noticed that the people I want to actually invest in or purchase products from, they show me excitement and they show me excellence. If I say, well, share with me what you've got going on, boy, that flyer is looking together. They are looking professional, and they are showing me that they not only care about the content of what they spent all this time creating, but they also thought about the packaging of how things are experienced. It's kind of like, when you think about preparing a wedding, think about all the things that people do to make sure that the attendees really feel like they were given the proper attention, and that they were also just rewarded for showing up. So guess what? You send a message, whether you realize it or not, about how you see yourself and your business. Work on how you show up and think about how you communicate that message in both a verbal and nonverbal way. Now, you might need some help in this, and that's okay. I highly recommend that, number one, you subscribe to my website. Number two, please watch the Upgrade My Life webinar that we have. And lastly, we are getting ready to launch the Upgrade My Life in 30 Days experience starting at the end of April. And I don't want you to miss out on that. So simply write Upgrade in the comments so we can give you a special voucher so that you can attend. Because look, what would you do if less than a McDonald's meal, you were able every single day to upgrade your perspective, upgrade your thought, upgrade how you see things? What would you really feel like if you could really upgrade? I know that transformation and change does not happen overnight. I know it now because right now I'm working with a trainer. And, I could say to myself, I'm just going to stop training. I could do this on my own. But guess what? There's some things that trainer knows that I am going to have to pay attention to that I'm not going to want to pay attention to. But yet I have to stay the course. I have to show up and say, you know what? I'm done trying to do this on my own. Please help. And that really might be you. And sometimes we need that kick to get us going. So I want to highly recommend that you consider joining me at the end of this month in our Upgrade My Life in 30-Day challenge. You will not be the same because of it. Not only that, make sure you click and learn about all of our offerings and our community. And lastly, please go ahead and join my IWBCC community. It's absolutely free. And what we do is we have pop-up events, we have conferences, we have deep dives and masterclasses that I want you to be a part of. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you stay tuned to this entire series, which will challenge you to show up differently. That's it for me, Dr. Allana Da Graca. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.